Hi, it's Dr. Holda, Medical Director of the Visionary Women's Health Clinic. I'm coming today to you with a video that is very vulnerable for me, but I think is going to also potentially be able to help a lot of people. We are talking about how to handle emotional crisis, especially kind of in the setting of this discussion around the suicide of Ellen DeGeneres' DJ Twitch, whom always I feel like has always just been such a light every time I've watched the show. I am honored and blessed to be able to assist patients when they go through emotional crises. And I don't take for granted that they could have called anyone, they could have spoken to anyone, but often they choose to speak to me, their OBGYN. And so I'm in a privileged place where I can have a special role in the lives of women. The conversation around emotional crises and suicide is a very vulnerable and personal one for me, because it's a place that I have been. And it's not something that I think I share a lot or that a lot of people know, but the physician suicide rate is higher than that of the general population. And it really highlights this baffling concept that I hear a lot from those who have never been afflicted with depression or suicidal thoughts, is that, why would that person, what could be so wrong in that person's life that they want to kill themselves? And it's this misconception that it's the homeless guy on the street that has lost everything that's often suicidal, and not, doctors or Ellen DeGeneres' DJs or people that are famous, wealthy, and are on the outside looking like they should be doing very well. We are taught as a society, of course, not to show our true faces because we don't trust the way that it will be received, and how people are going to take what's really happening inside of us. We are also taught that negative emotions are bad. And so we all go through cycles where we repress our emotions or try to escape them through distractions, because negative emotions are bad. And so I want to share with you what I share with patients that are going through an emotional crisis, are feeling like they don't want to live anymore. And it's also a process that I have done myself. So this isn't just me talking about theories. It's something that I have applied. And I really hope that this will help you. And if you know someone that could hear what I'm about to share today, please share this video. When we are going through an emotional crisis, there are certain thoughts that are very prominent and that are at the forefront, as well as certain feelings. The feeling that we are in a place in our lives where we have no longer any meaning, where we feel like we are no longer self-realized, and nobody can help us, and that nothing is going to get better, is when depression goes to suicide or suicidal thoughts. Fear is a big emotion that is very prevalent during these times of emotional crises. Fear of what could possibly be a kind of on the other side of what we are currently seeing as a total breakdown of our lives and the meaning of our lives. I think inherently as people, we all want purpose and meaning. And if you look at every single situation where someone has gotten to a point where they're thinking about taking their lives, that sense of purpose and meaning is gone. So the first step that I want to share with you is, you'll see in some of my other videos, I talk about how to let go of emotions. Well, that's not going to be the first thing you're going to do when you're in an emotional crisis, because the height and the peak of what you're feeling is just so elevated, and you're usually so distraught that the first thing that you have to do is try to release some of the emotions. And my recommendation is to do that through expression. So you're going to talk to someone about how you're feeling. For some people, writing about it helps too, but I find that being able to have that personal contact with someone that you trust and someone that feels nurturing, this is key, not just anyone that you may feel like doesn't really care, because that's going to only increase your current emotional crisis. You want to connect with someone that's nurturing, and then just talk about what you're feeling. And what that's going to do is you're going to energetically begin to release some of this emotion that has really kind of exploded. Now, there's still some that's still in you, and the next steps are going to help you release those. But the first step is to deflate this balloon, and you're going to do that through expression. When I was going through the early part of my residency training, I had a very severe depression that was confounded by the fact that I was also in my postpartum phase. And I felt alone. I felt like my husband at the time didn't understand it and was kind of, didn't know how to help me. And the training sort of environment that I was in didn't have the space for me. And I don't know if that's true because I never brought it up. It's something that I never talked about. So I just kind of secluded myself and separated myself from everyone and everything there, because at the time my mind was telling me that they weren't going to protect me and they weren't going to understand me. And so I had reached out to my mother, whom culturally she's from West Africa, and the idea of suicide is something that is not always very well understood or welcomed, but she was so nurturing. And she would call me every single day when I drove home from my shifts at the hospital just to talk. And that was my ability to deflate this balloon of the emotional crisis that I was going through. And it was, of course, when I told her that I just wanted to drive my car into a tree or something, and just be done with all of it, I think that motherly, I guess, relationship gave her the insight that she needed to touch base with me. And so expression is always that first thing that you want to tap into. The second part is then once that emotion begins to deflate, you're going to spend some time now alone to let go. And I talk about the process of letting go in other videos, and I'll try to put some on this in the links or on the page, so that if you missed that, you can also take a look at that. And it's a process that actually I've been using throughout my life and that I have been recommending to a lot of patients. And I recently read a book by Dr. David R. Hawkins called Letting Go, and I was so pleased to see that it was the exact same process that he describes in his book. And I had just randomly stumbled upon it because it worked. And so please refer to that video. And it's important to go through it because you have to let go of what is still inside of you that hasn't been completely released from the expression of what you're feeling. And there's, again, like I said, a lot of fear that has to be let go. and the feeling that comes with not having any purpose or meaning. And so letting go is a crucial part of the process that you're going to have to go through so that you can heal. The next part 3, is remodeling your past and your present. When we're in these emotional crises, we're looking at everything that happened before and everything that's happening now as what a waste of time. This was, I was a victim, essentially, that you've been victimized. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the hidden gifts in what has happened to you in the past and the hidden gifts of what is happening to you now. I was listening to Tyler Perry talk about his moments where he was suicidal, and he saw that moment as a gateway to happiness. And so that is remodeling what's going on, looking for the hidden gifts in the struggles that you are facing now, and perhaps the past where you have felt victimized. And the last thing, and it's really not really a step, but it's sort of a reassurance and an inspiration to remind you that it's those of us that go through these dark nights of the soul, that go through sort of these really tough times that get us to that point where we really feel like we've hit rock bottom. That if you can climb out of that, if you can go through this process and come out of this emotional crisis, you will find that you will actually become renewed, a completely new person. You will find more compassion because now you have more understanding just for humanity and for the human experience. I found that I gained more wisdom. A lot of my intuitive gifts also just exponentially increased. My healing gifts and my ability to read energy and to see people's energy and kind of where they are and help them and just meet them where they are. All of these things basically accentuated after I had my dark night of the soul during my residency training. And so a lot of people who knew me back then meet me now and they're like, this is not the same person. And that's because I'm not the same person. That moment transformed me into this person that is just immensely greater. And so I want you to know that this emotional crisis is absolutely going to open doors for you to becoming something so wonderful, a butterfly. So I hope that this short video was helpful. Whenever I hear about suicide that was successful, it's always a bit triggering for me and very emotional for me. But I am, again, very blessed that I am able to help others get through theirs. Sending you my love and my light. I'll see you in the next video.